Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It's your guy Boulanger. Up next is our response to the QB ranking video. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So, first and foremost, had a lot of commentary both in the comment section but also in private message. I probably get as many private message comments as I do in the public comment section. And there was a consensus across the board that Jalen Hurts was not a number two in my ranking. Had several people have some issue with Josh Allen being in the top five. I had somebody make a comment, or a couple of people make a comment about Patrick Mahomes, and then nobody really said a lot about Joe Burrow being put in number three. And so nobody really said that Lamar Jackson didn't belong in the fifth spot. And so let me give you my ranking again, and then let me tell you why I have those guys ranked where they're ranked. So number one, I had Patrick Mahomes, and I think Patrick Mahomes is so far out in outer space in this ranking that the number two spot could really be the number one spot, right? Patrick Mahomes is not even at a place at this point where he should be ranked with the other QBs. I know that sounds a little bit uh, uh um bombastic, but the fact of the matter is what he's done since he entered the league in 2017 can only be rivaled by what Brady did in his first 5 or 6 years. With an understanding that Patrick Mahomes has had the privilege of working with an elite level offensive coordinator and elite level head coach when it comes to constructing an offense, timely defensive coaching as it pertains to his defense, and he has had some elite talent around him. But the fact of the matter is, he did lose Tyreek Hill last year and still went on and won the Super Bowl without the cheetah. And so I have to, increase his stock and his ranking and put him way ahead. Okay, so now let's get to the rest of the list. I put Jalen Hurts in the second spot just primarily because of his most recent accomplishments. Okay. The NFL is a league of what have you done for me lately? Okay. We can always take the totality of a QB's career or a player's career, and we can kind of put them in the hierarchy in the total career context. But as it pertains to coming into the 2023 season, Jalen Hurts comes off a pretty solid year. Not a great year, but a pretty solid year. 3,700 yards. I think he had about 22-ish touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So not like an unbelievable year as it pertains to you know the the statistical metrics, but the fact of the matter is he did do what he was supposed to do with the talent base that was around him. Having the best offensive line in the league, having a top five wide receiver grouping in the league, and not even making it to the NFC Championship would have been a failed season. But he did exactly what he was supposed to do. His organization did exactly what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to go get pieces and put around him. They were supposed to build that offensive line. They were supposed to draft well. That's what an organization is supposed to do. And he took advantage of it. And he did perform well throughout the playoffs and also in the Super Bowl. He had a couple of mishaps, but all players have mishaps. And so um he is the most recent participant in the Super Bowl. He has had a 3-year climb, so he has ascended every single year. And so I put him in the second spot. Okay. I put Joe Burrow in the third spot because Joe Burrow has done some pretty cool things in his career. He tore his ACL in his first year, came back and went to the Super Bowl in 2021, and then went to the AFC Championship in 2022. Yes, Joe Burrow does have the advantage of having the best trio of wide receivers in the whole league. But again, you can't penalize a person for using the tools that they have access to. You can't do that. If my guy Lamar, if he had those same weapons, then I would expect him to ball out too. And he's already been a baller for sure with less. but I would expect for him to do what Joe Burrow did and more, what Jalen Hurts did and more if he had those same level of weapons. And so Joe Burrow has done exactly what he was supposed to do with the weapons that he had at his disposal. Right. And I can't fault the organization. You know, the organization did what they're supposed to do. They capitalized on being bad. You know, they drafted their quarterback. They turned around and were bad again because of Joe Burrow's injury. They drafted Jamar Chase, added him to T. Higgs and Tyler Boyd, and now they got a nice trio. So I don't fault them at all. And Joe Burrow did what he was supposed to do with those weapons. Okay, I had Josh Allen coming in at number 4. And again, this wasn't a who's better. Okay, let's be very, very clear. My ranking was not based on who's better. My ranking was based on what they've done lately. Okay. Yes, Josh Allen, and some of the kickback I got on Josh Allen, is that, he is an underachiever. And in some aspects, I can rock with that. I can get with that assessment. But the fact of the matter is, um, Josh Allen still had a solid year last year. He threw for over 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, which means his touchdown to interceptions is still 2-1. So that's still a pretty solid year. Um, Unlike the other guys ahead of him, speaking of Josh Allen, he doesn't have two top-notch wide receivers. Jalen Hurts in the second spot has AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Joe Burrow has uh, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and Josh Allen has only had Stephon Diggs. Now they've gotten busy, when they've been connecting, but he only has that one receiver, and so but he still has performed solid, not great, but he has continually performed solidly, over the last year and couple of years for sure. Um, and then Lamar Jackson, a lot of people said to me, well, Lamar Jackson has an MVP. I get that. I agree with that. You guys know, if you guys have watched my videos for some time, I've been beating the MVP drum for Lamar Jackson all season. But at this point, I have to put my drumsticks down and I have to start talking about um, what has happened lately. And what has happened lately is that, Lamar has missed the end of the last 2 seasons to injury. Again, not his fault. Nobody plans on getting injured, but it is what it is. Okay. Again, I admit Lamar Jackson has not had the requisite weapons to kind of really have long-term success. But I can't change that. I can't fault Buffalo and Cincinnati and um, Philadelphia and the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Raiders and the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets for going out and doing what they needed to do for their quarterbacks. I can't fault them for that. I wish the Baltimore Ravens had been more aggressive in the trade market and went and got Lamar Jackson some weapons. We may be having a different conversation. But the fact of the matter is, I slot Lamar in at the 5th spot because I do think he's better than Justin Herbert. I do think now here's when I get to better. I do think he's better than Justin Herbert. I do think he is better than Trevor Lawrence. But I will admit Trevor Lawrence is coming. Okay. And depending on what Lamar Jackson does this year with this rebuilt offense and a new OC, Trevor Lawrence could close that gap because Trevor Lawrence has climbed both years. He did okay as a rookie. He put his team in the playoffs his second year and got a playoff win after being down big. So Trevor Lawrence is coming. And so, but I don't put either one of those guys, Herbert or Lawrence, above Lamar Jackson, because I do think that he has been under-equipped for the last couple of years. I do not think he's injury prone. I did a whole video and I went back to the week of the injury, the last 2 years, and the week before that injury, and I showed you how when Lamar Jackson's workload increased, his potential for injury also increased. And so I do think that is a valid point is that he's not injury prone. He just was in a tough situation because of being undermanned. So now that he has a potential to, speaking of Lamar Jackson, come into this season, with adequate, I'll say adequate weapons. I won't say elite or anything like that, just adequate weapons. I'm anxious and excited to see what he can do. Okay, so that's my quarterback ranking, and that's the reason why I have those guys where I have them. I can no longer afford uh, to keep putting Lamar above some of the guys who have uh, been consistently doing it uh, at a above average level, and injuries have taken him out. I can't do that. That's not responsible. That may be being a good fan, of Lamar Jackson's to do that, but that's not responsible as a guy who loves to talk ball, is to continue to ignore the facts. And so that's why I have him at 5. Again, my ranking was not a ranking of who's better. Let me be clear. And I think a little bit of the response I got was, um, kind of a thought that it was a ranking of who's better, but it wasn't. It wasn't a ranking about that. It was based on what player quarterbacks have done lately. And so the top 3 guys are either Super Bowl winners or Super Bowl participants. Josh Allen has been in the AFC Championship, uh, above above the guys who are behind him. And then I don't have a lot to say about NFC quarterbacks um, at all. I mean, all those quarterbacks, other than Jalen Hurts, and so, now if I was unfair to Lamar and I totally took points away from him just based on injury, then I would have other guys ahead of him simply because they've got into the playoffs and did a little more. I would have put Trevor Lawrence ahead of him if it was just about if it was only recency bias. You understand what I'm saying? But I understand that Trevor Lawrence hasn't done it long enough. Justin Herbert hasn't done anything in this league, although he has a lot of good numbers. He hasn't done anything in this league. So I just want to be clear about what we were doing. So I'm your guy Boulanger. Oh, by the way, stay tuned, man. I have a video coming out tomorrow, on Wednesday, unlike any of the ones I've done thus far. And I would acknowledge that the content in that video you may not like. I will be super, super honest, but check it out, man. I'm excited to see how you guys respond to it, and we'll break that down in our response video as well. I'm out.